Chapter 5270. Yiqing Luo turned her head and saw a small figure shooting towards Huang Guiyou like a cannonball. Feng Shi. Yiqing Luo's pupils contracted. Who else could it be if it wasn't Feng Shi? At this moment, Feng Shi was covered in a dazzling golden light, which circled around her body again and again. The dazzling golden profound light made him look extremely noble and unapproachable. Most importantly, the aura that Yiqing Luo sensed from Feng Shi was totally different from his usual self. Instead, it was a kind of energy wave which could explode the entire space, crazily crashing against the entire sealed space. Yiqing Luo's vision fell onto Feng Shi's face. That golden light circulated. That young man's face was already delicate and handsome at such a young age. A totem which looked like a blooming cherry blossomed on the young man's forehead. That was God Emperor's imprint? That was the God Emperor's imprint, which would only appear after being recognized by the God Emperor's inheritance. She had one on her forehead. She had not expected that. Feng Shi's forehead would also have this totem. That meant that Feng Shi was also a descendant which was recognized by the ancient God Emperor and could accept the God Emperor's inheritance to become the next God Emperor's successor. Feng Shi usually didn't show much of herself. But this time, when Linglong met with danger, it completely stimulated Feng Shi's potential and also the God Emperor's imprint. But Feng Shi was after all just a child. Even if she stimulated her potential, it was like throwing an egg against a rock against Huang Guiyou. And Huang Guiyou would definitely not be soft-hearted towards Feng Shi. Seeing Feng Shi charging towards Huang Guiyou without any regard for the consequences, Yiqing Luo's fingertips clenched the glower flame fan and was about to protect Feng Shi. But, at the moment when Feng Shi exploded earlier, Yiqing Luo's attention was all on Feng Shi. So she didn't notice. The black light pillar which Huang Guiyou had condensed on the stone tablet was already shooting towards her direction. By the time Yiqing Luo wanted to save Feng Shi, it was already too late. She only felt a chill down her spine as a deathly chill seeped into her skin. There was a metallic taste in his throat, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. As for Feng Shi, under Huang Guiyou's sinister smile, the surging mysterious yin qi was like a huge palm that could take someone's life. Bit by bit, it slapped toward Feng Shi's head. This power fell. Feng Shi was either dead or crippled. However, it was too late for Yiqing Luo. Even if she ran at her fastest speed, she wouldn't be able to catch up. This moment of distraction gave Huang Guiyou a chance. Yiqing Luo couldn't evade it in time. The thick black mysterious yin qi became more and more violent. It almost suppressed the raging flames in the sealed space. Huang Guiyou stared greedily at the divine emperor's mark on Feng Shi's forehead with his sinister eyes, and there was wild joy in his eyes. Ha ha ha. I didn't expect to see a second descendant of the Feng family recognized by the divine emperor. The heavens are indeed kind to me. Even the heavens wish for me to leave this damned place. Huang Guiyou licked his dry lips, the fire in his eyes almost burning Feng Shi. The mysterious yin qi that seemed to have come from hell reached towards Feng Shi's face bit by bit. The fingertip landed on the divine emperor's mark. Feng Shi only felt as if a ball of ice had touched her skin, making her unable to move, as if she had been frozen into ice. She wanted to struggle. But an inexplicable suction force was rapidly absorbing the energy in her body. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5271. Just at this moment. It was so quiet that only the painful panting of the crowd and Huang Guiyou's eerie laughter could be heard. The ferocious profound energy surged forward like a hot knife through butter. Feng Shi's tiny body, which was about to be crushed, suddenly felt light. The next moment, his tiny body was hooked by a pair of soft hands. His entire body was pulled into a soft embrace. But the hand that was hooking his body was strangely cold. Even the embrace was not warm. But Feng Shi felt inexplicably at ease. It was as if all the fear and dread had dissipated at this moment. The bright golden light which was bursting out from his body gradually, slowly, calmed down. He blinked his big round eyes and stayed silent for a while in this ice-cold embrace. Then, he suddenly reacted and struggled to get up. Ling Long. Just as he moved, a soft and cold hand covered his head and easily pressed him down. "Don't move, I'm here." The clear and melodious voice was like warm spring water which seeped into Feng Shi's heart. His struggling movements stopped. His line of sight slowly turned towards the person who was holding him in her arms. A face was reflected in her big, black and white eyes. She had a stunning, flamboyant, devastatingly beautiful face. And at this moment, on the other side, Yiqing Luo had no time to care about who this lady who suddenly appeared was. By the time she regained her senses, Huang Guio's profound Qi had already cut a path through the majestic profound energy around her. The qi waves condensed from the mysterious Qi rippled and rippled. When it got close to Yiqing Luo, instantly it turned into a turbulent rolling wave, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. The young girl dodged in time. Her black hair and pink dress were blown up by the wind. She couldn't avoid it, but she must not give Huang Guio a chance to turn the tables. No matter from emotion or reason, Ling Long must not be the key to Huang Guio to break the seal. No matter from emotion or reason, Ling Long must not be the key to Huang Guio to break the seal. The sharp murderous intent, lingering with frost, surged and rushed towards Yiqing Luo from behind. Yiqing Luo endured the heaviness in her chest and the sweetness in her throat. Her fingertips flicked and formed a profound wave which rushed towards the profound Qi which surrounded Ling Long. Bam! Rumble. The deafening explosion almost shattered the entire space. It was as if the surrounding flames were surging restlessly. The sealed space fluctuated, and the energy fluctuations also fluctuated chaotically. What? Huang Guio had thought that victory was within his grasp, but the complacent expression on his face froze in an instant. He widened his eyes and bared his teeth in anger as he looked in front of him. His line of sight was completely blocked by the raging flames. That profound Qi which attacked Yiqing Luo, it seemed to be blocked by something. His power was also draining away. How could this be? Huang Guio's eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. It was as if everything was slowly slipping away from his grasp. After a few breaths of time, the raging flames slowly sank. Under the surging flames, a blurry figure gradually appeared. The surging flames were like fire dragons, lingering and circling. A peerless figure that wore a violet-colored embroidered robe was faintly discernible. The strong wind surged, blowing up his sleeves, making a fluttering sound. A handsome, godlike man, carrying a pink black-haired young lady, took slow and steady steps, gradually walking into the eyes of the crowd. The man's entire body was emitting a chill which made one unable to look straight at him. Sharp, domineering, like a blade's edge. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 52-72. Even the purifying flames of the divine emperor's seal that filled the sky seemed to be blocked by an invisible force when they approached the man. Not to mention Huang Guio's mysterious Qi. It couldn't touch the man at all. In front of him, the surging majestic power in the surroundings became a foil. The man's face was cold and emotionless. It was as if everything in front of him couldn't make any waves in his eyes. Only when he looked down and saw the young woman in his arms did the expression on his face soften a little. The way he held the girl was so gentle, as if he was holding the most precious treasure in the world. To him, she was the most precious treasure. The man's thin lips were pressed together, and there was a hint of hostility in them. His eyes swept over a certain place. He raised his hands slightly, and a violent hurricane swept out from his wide sleeves. There was a loud swoosh. The hurricane surged. In the blink of an eye, Ling Long, who had fainted from the erosion of the mysterious Qi, was slowly carried to Feng Shi's direction by this force. The white-clothed woman, who looked like a fairy that had descended to the mortal world, extended her other hand and caught Linglong. In the process, Huang Guiyou sensed the man's intention and immediately released the mysterious Yin Qi, which rolled up a terrifying and powerful force, in an attempt to stop the man. But he didn't have the chance to stop him. The man moved his fingers, and the purple light was dazzling. He moved slightly. That incomparably sharp attack cut through the mysterious Yin Qi, heading straight for Huang Guiyou. The mysterious Yin Qi was scattered almost instantly. Huang Guiyou's eyes widened. When he came to himself, he gathered more mysterious Yin Qi to form a protective shield in front of him. It was also because of Huang Guiyou's action. The surrounding mysterious Yin Qi that was fighting against the Divine Emperor's seal was completely destroyed. The overbearing aura of the raging flames gained the upper hand. The mysterious Yin Qi that wrapped around Gu Jingyu's body also slowly dispersed. Gu Jingyu's body lost its support and fell to the ground. Bang! That energy pierced through the mysterious Yin Qi and forcefully landed on Huang Guiyou's body. Huang Guiyou's limbs were bound by the Divine Emperor's seal, so he couldn't move or dodge. Even after withstanding this attack, he was still firmly bound in midair. Pooh! Huang Guiyou spat out a mouthful of blood. Dmo Xian. He gritted his teeth and spat out the other's name word by word. He stared fixedly at the figure who had suddenly appeared. His scarlet eyes were filled with hatred and anger towards the man, as well as disbelief, and also extreme panic and confusion. Yes, he was panicking. When facing this man, Huang Guiyou was flustered like never before. In the past, Huang Guiyou had heard of the rumors about the Dizun. For him, there was no one in the world who could enter his eyes. An unparalleled genius like him could only exist in this world. Therefore, even though the outside world was talking about his majesty as if he was a god, Huang Guiyou did not even put him in his eyes. Even if they fought later on, he felt that it was only because he was still sealed. If he was at his peak, he wouldn't even be afraid of a divine emperor, so why would he be afraid of a little kid? But at this moment, he was facing Dmo Xian directly. After feeling Dmo Xian's power, he started to panic. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please collect it gently. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please collect it gently. Chapter 5273. Xian. The sudden change and reversal, as well as that calming aura, made Yiqing Luo slightly stunned. Her fair little hand grabbed the man's lapel. She raised her head and met with that peerless elegance, the face which had been lingering in her heart. She blinked her eyes as her heart was indescribably touched. Her Xian. He could even find his way to this place. He was still the same as before. He was always able to save her when she was in the most danger, like a god descending from the sky when she needed him. The hand on her waist exerted a little more strength. The man's palm pinched her waist, and when his eyes met hers, his dark and deep voice carried a little threat and coldness. I'll deal with you later. It was rare that Yiqing Luo didn't refute. She obediently nestled in the man's arms and even slightly closed her eyes. Apparently, she was already exhausted to the extreme. And Dmo Xian's appearance made her tensed-up emotions relaxed at this moment. At the same time, the exhaustion of her body and mind also rushed up. Dmo Xian was both angry and distressed. Looking at the young lady's gorgeous face, under the blazing flames, it looked pale and he couldn't bear to say a harsh word. He gently caressed the young lady's back, his mellow voice made one feel at ease. All right, I'm here, nothing will happen to them. Under the blazing flames, Yiqing Luo's pale pink lips slightly curved upwards, adding a weak and sickly look to the young lady. She naturally believed in Dmo Xian. Dmo Xian's arrival had basically set this ending. She knew. As long as he was here, it would definitely be as she wished. Because he was Dmo Xian, her god. After appeasing the young lady, Dmo Xian slightly raised his eyes. His shimmering purple cold eyes stared indifferently at the shocked Huang Guiyou. He didn't put Huang Wuyo in his eyes at all. That attitude was still high and mighty. As though he was looking down at the ant Huang Wuyo. Dmo Xian. Do you know who I am? When had Huang Wuyo ever suffered such treatment? He had endured the 10,000 years of imprisonment. But, only this disdainful attitude made him unable to tolerate it. For him, tens of thousands of people were merely playthings in the palm of his hand. If he wanted to live, he would live. If he wanted someone dead, they would die. Apart from Feng Gu, no one else was worthy of his attention. A young man was trying to show off in front of him while he was sealed. How dare they look down on him? Dmo Xian's brows were calm and his eyes were indifferent. Who you are has nothing to do with this lord. He raised his hands slightly. The knuckles of her slender hands were distinct, just like the finest porcelain jade. Under the illumination of the raging flames, it seemed to emit a layer of velvet light. However, there was an inexplicable sinister coldness that caused one's heart to tremble. You hurt someone I care about, so it's your fault. Chapter 52-74. Although the power of the Divine Emperor's seal was still firmly imprisoning him. In other words, this man could shake the power of the Divine Emperor's seal. At this moment, Huang Wuyo completely faced Dmo Xian. No. He could not drag it any longer. This man had already exceeded his expectations. He absolutely could not allow his 10,000 years of planning to fail at the last moment. Huang Wuyo did not hesitate at all, nor did he have the chance to hesitate. Almost at the moment when Dmo Xian struck again. Under the double pressure of the Divine Emperor's seal and Dmo Xian's aura, Huang Wuyo's eyes widened and a large mass of black fog gushed out. That thick black fog was filled with a terrifying evil aura. As if it was filled with thousands of malicious and evil thoughts. Just a little bit of contact. The darkness in the depths of his heart seemed to be drawn out by something, bit by bit. Oh, the young girl in Dmo Xian's arms was being eroded by the evil thoughts, making her feel uncomfortable. It was as if a sharp claw had stretched out from the depths of her soul, pulling at her soul. This soft moan caused the cold and indifferent man's expression to instantly change. Dmo Xian looked down at the person in his arms. The young girl's gorgeous face was covered with a thin layer of sweat. Her brows were knitted tightly, as if she was suffering from some kind of pain. Dmo Xian's brows tightened as he softly called out, "Little Luo." His voice was gentle, with a hint of heartache. His slender jade-like fingers gently covered the young girl's forehead. A faint and cool profound energy poured into the young girl's body through her brows. It dispelled the discomfort of the young girl being eroded by evil thoughts. But it was also because of Dmo Xian's distraction. The thick black fog that gushed out from Huang Wuyo's eyes turned into two smoke-like claws, as if in the void, two sharp claws stretched out from the surging black fog. He actually used this kind of method to forcefully break the array? A cold voice, under the vast profound waves and various kinds of energy fluctuations, was extremely clear to the ear. That voice was cold and emotionless, but one could faintly hear the astonishment in it. This kind of method, which way? With Dmo Xian's help, Yiqing Luo regained her consciousness slightly and heard Zhu Wu Xian's astonished words. Yiqing Luo frowned as she struggled to open her eyes. Adjusting the position of her head in Dmo Xian's arms, she glanced sideways and followed the sound. The sky was filled with energy fluctuations. It was the power of flames sealed by the Divine Emperor. It was Dmo Xian's dazzling profound energy. It was the thick, dark energy that surrounded Huang Wuyo. The three energies intertwined with each other, forming vortex-like holes one after another. It spread throughout the entire space. In Huang Wuyo's direction, there was a tall body hovering in the air. His body was gripped by two smoke-like claws, his limbs wide open as he faced Huang Wuyo. That body's back was facing Yiqing Luo. She could also clearly see, on his blood-stained back, there was a strange totem drawn on it that was giving off wisps of mysterious Yin energy. It also made the totem look really devilish. Yiqing Luo's pupils contracted. "Gu Jingyu. Dmo Xian's thin lips pursed slightly as his wide palm covered the young girl's eyes. His voice was deep. It's too late, don't look. What he said was basically a fact that had already been set in stone. Yiqing Luo's heart thumped fiercely as it sunk. It's too late. What did that mean? Which meant Gu Jingyu, he, couldn't be saved. Chapter 5275. Even Dmo Xian was at his wit's end. Yiqing Luo's pink lips moved as she wanted to say something. But when the words reached his mouth, he couldn't spit out a single word. His throat was dry and hoarse. What should she say? What could he say? If Dmo Xian could save her, he would do his best to save her. Dmo Xian had already said that it was too late. Then there was really no other way. Bang, rumble. A deafening explosion and the sound of something collapsing echoed in the space. Nestled in Dmo Xian's arms, Yiqing Luo could feel the earth shaking and the mountain swaying. Her eyes were sealed by Dmo Xian and she could not see anything. He could only rely on sound to sense his surroundings. Under the protection of Dmo Xian's aura, Yiqing Luo could only faintly sense that the fluctuation in the air seemed to have increased by a lot. It was as if countless forces were contending against each other. However, he sensed it carefully. But he couldn't feel anything. It felt like a long time had passed, but it also felt like a blink of an eye. When Dmo Xian's slender hand moved away from Yiqing Luo's eyes, the first thing Yiqing Luo did was to look towards the direction of Huang Wuyo. The surging and twisting flames were constantly intertwining. The person who was supposed to be in the flames had already disappeared. Yes, Huang Wuyo had disappeared. Yiqing Luo swiftly searched the surroundings. He did not find any trace of Huang Wuyo. Even the creepy and cold mysterious Yin Qi had completely disappeared, and there was not even a trace of its aura left. It was as if Huang Wuyo had never existed. And Gu Jingyu had also disappeared. He ran away. Dmo Xian's voice was clear, "You're injured, there's no need to chase after him for now. He can't run away." Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips as her little head leaned slightly on the man's shoulder, silently nodding her head. He ran away. This also meant that Huang Wuyo had broken through the array. Breaking the formation meant that Huang Wuyo's strength had been restored. Her current condition was not optimistic. If he hastily chased after Huang Wuyo, he might not even be able to catch up. Even if she managed to catch up to him, she had no way of dealing with him. Since Dmo Xian said it so confidently, he must have a way. She just had to trust him. However, Gu Jingyu, was he still alive? Perhaps he felt the girl's depressed mood. Dmo Xian's eyes drooped slightly, his deep obsidian-like pupils reflected the young lady's pale face, which was filled with a complicated expression. He tightened his grip on the girl and said in a low voice, "This is his fate and the fate he has chosen. Since he can't change it or stop it, he has to accept it." His large palm slowly clasped the girl's head. He made the young girl's gaze meet his. He was very clear about the meaning of his existence. Dmo Xian continued, "He was the vessel that Huang Wuyo had carefully selected." Container? Yiqing Luo's eyelashes fluttered slightly as she looked at the man's inky pupils. "What do you mean?" "A vessel, just like how you are the divine phoenix profound heart jade's vessel. It is the best place to contain and nurture the divine phoenix profound heart jade. Similarly, Gu Jingyu's body should be the best vessel to support Huang Wuyo's body and soul." Dmo Xian explained, "Huang Wuyo made use of Gu Jingyu as a vessel and made use of the sinister forbidden curse which was set up in the sealed grounds to carry out the soul transfer, which is one of the most sinister sorcery in the ancient times, soul transfer secret art." Soul transfer secret art? Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5276. When Yiqing Luo heard this name, her heart thumped hard. From the name alone, Yiqing Luo could roughly imagine what the soul transfer secret art was. As expected, from Dmo Xian's mouth, he combined his own conjecture. From the very beginning, Gu Jingyu was the vessel that Huang Guiyou had chosen. This vessel could be said to be Huang Guiyou's escape route. If everything went according to Huang Guiyou's plan. If he could come out of the seal unscathed. Gu Jingyu was the catalyst to unlock the seal. If there were any sudden accidents when breaking the seal, he would not be able to escape. Huang Guiyou could even become a vessel to carry Huang Guiyou's soul and strength. In other words, Gu Jingyu was no longer Gu Jingyu. It was Huang Guiyou. It was no wonder that Huang Guiyou's divine sense could directly attach itself to Gu Jingyu's body and exchange blows with her. It was also because of Gu Jingyu's special physique that he was compatible with Huang Guiyou's soul. That was why Huang Guiyou's doppelganger had gone to the Nirvana realm to become Gu Jingyu's master and gain his trust. He had also successfully brainwashed Gu Jingyu into becoming one of his chess pieces. For Huang Guiyou, Yiqing Luo was an accident in his plan. This accident had not only ruined his plans again and again, but it had also ruined his plans. It even made the chess pieces that he had painstakingly cultivated start to have rebellious thoughts. If not for Gu Jingyu's usefulness, it was impossible for Huang Guiyou to allow Gu Jingyu to live until now. From Dmo Xian's mouth, Yiqing Luo knew that the current Huang Guiyou was nothing to be afraid of. Right from the start, Huang Guiyou had only wanted to obtain Yiqing Luo's divine phoenix profound heart jade and obtain the God Emperor's inheritance, making Yiqing Luo his tool. As for him, he used 10,000 years to turn the sealed land into a place of extreme negative energy. Then, he set up the heavenly Yin bloodlust art in the land of extreme Yin to absorb the profound practitioner's energy and pour it into their souls, strengthening their souls. Then, at the most opportune moment, breaking the seal and gaining a new life. As for this freshman, he was the strongest at his peak, revered carefree. This was Huang Guiyou's original plan. But everything had been thrown into chaos. Yiqing Luo's appearance was out of Huang Guiyou's expectations, but it was also within his expectations. He wanted to be reborn as he had been in his prime. Yiqing Luo was indeed the key. What he didn't expect was, after Yiqing Luo inherited the Divine Emperor's inheritance, there would be such an earth-shattering change. Furthermore, she could freely control the Azure Dew bracelet and the Azure Dew divine weapon that Feng Gu had left behind. This had obviously become Yiqing Luo's assistance. The most unexpected thing was, Yiqing Luo would use such a despicable method like poison. As a result, his soul and strength were all corroded by the poison. Which also gave Yiqing Luo a chance to invade. Yiqing Luo discovered the crux of the God Emperor's seal. He also knew that the stone tablet was closely related to his seal. This had also disrupted Huang Guiyou's initial plan. Huang Guiyou could only choose to give up. Taking a step back, he only wanted to use Linglong and Gu Jingyu to forcefully break the seal. The consequences of breaking the seal, his spiritual energy would be severely damaged. Even if he broke the seal and left it. With his strength, he could probably only maintain 70% of his power. Although 70% of his strength was enough for him to rule the world. However, under such circumstances, he was forced to break out of the seal in such a pathetic manner by his daughter, whom he had never taken a liking to. It really made Huang Guiyou feel that he had lost all his face. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5277. But everything was still the opposite of what Huang Guiyou had expected. If Yiqing Luo's appearance made his plan fail, then Dmo Xian's appearance made him completely lose all his sovereignty. In the end, he fled in panic in such a way. Yiqing Luo laid in Dmo Xian's arms and raised her head slightly, looking at the man's clean and beautiful chin. Her voice was soft, so. The current Huang Guiyou broke the divine phoenix seal in a way that injured the enemy by 1,000 and himself by 800, right? Dmo Xian responded with an N. Yiqing Luo stuffed her little head into his arms again. Then the consequence of this is, the current Huang Guiyou is seriously injured. Don't think about it. Dmo Xian's eyes drooped, his slender fingers held her chin, his deep black eyes were filled with seriousness and solemnity. Your injury is not light now. The man's tone was very gloomy, apparently still angry. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes, revealing an obedient and harmless smile. Her voice continued to be soft. I know, in order not to let you worry, I will be obedient. Am I not worried enough? Dmo Xian sneered, thinking of Yiqing Luo's sudden disappearance. Even the connection between the profound phoenix ring and profound dragon ring could not detect Yiqing Luo's existence. It was as if she had disappeared from this world. Dmo Xian couldn't recall how he felt when there was no news of Yiqing Luo. Almost. He wanted to turn the world upside down, destroy the heaven and earth, and he had to find Yiqing Luo. Thinking of this, Dmo Xian shut his eyes hard and pulled the young lady into his arms. He could feel that the girl was really by his side. That uneasy feeling in his heart finally subsided slightly. Yiqing Luo could naturally feel the change in the man's emotions, even if she didn't see it with her own eyes. Yiqing Luo also knew, when she was in the God Emperor's sealed space. What kind of feelings did Dmo Xian have? Her expression softened, stretched out her hands and wrapped them around his firm waist. I'm sorry, I made you worry. The man didn't say a word, only increasing the strength of the hands holding her. Yiqing Luo's little hand grabbed his collar. There won't be a next time. The man's large palm held her little hand. Can there be no next time? Yiqing Luo nodded hard. Absolutely, I promise. The young girl blinked her charming eyes. Her long eyelashes were thick like the wings of a butterfly. Her pupils, which seemed to have been washed by green water, were bright and resplendent, reflecting his shadow. Her bright red lips curled up slightly in an attempt to please him. She looked obedient and cute. Dmo Xian's suppressed rage and all his viciousness softened at this moment. How could he bear to be angry at his little Luo heir? In the end, he could only sigh and press the young girl into his arms. For the time being, I'll believe you this once. Yiqing Luo's lips curled upwards as she used her face to rub against his chest. Indeed, she was not in a hurry to look for Huang Wuyo. She wanted to take advantage of his weakness to take his life. Firstly, it was to reassure Dmo Xian. Secondly, the current Huang Wuyo, under the circumstances of forcefully breaking the seal, could only maintain 50% of his previous strength, which was already the limit. Moreover, Huang Wuyo's injuries were much more serious than hers. In particular, there were all sorts of poisons in her body. It was enough for Huang Wuyo to suffer. She had merely overexerted her strength. It wouldn't be too late to look for Huang Wuyo after she had recuperated for a day. Huang Wuyo was surrounded by enemies and had no helpers. But she had Dmo Xian. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5278. The young lady's eyes were curved, filled with complacency. The man only took one look and had already guessed what the young lady was thinking. He sighed softly, his gaze was filled with indulgence and helplessness as he poked her forehead, then hugged her tightly. Don't let your imagination run wild, close your eyes and rest. Yiqing Luo rubbed against him in his arms. Yes, hubby. She obediently closed her eyes. Her body's exhaustion and the lingering familiar scent made her feel at ease. But a moment later, she fell into a deep sleep, not knowing how long she had slept for. By the time Yiqing Luo opened her eyes, the room was pitch black. She got up, feeling relaxed and refreshed. That blood and dust-stained clothes had long been changed, and what replaced it was a soft and comfortable inner garment. Her body was clean and there was a faint medicinal fragrance. Apparently it was when she was unconscious. Someone had soaked her in a medicinal bath. Yiqing Luo's cheeks blushed slightly. She was really too assured towards Dmo Xian. After a few rounds of torment, she still hadn't woken up. Yiqing Luo stood up, took 2 steps and sensed for a moment. Her body had basically recovered. After walking out of the room, Yiqing Luo then realized that this was the devil's palace in the devil's domain. The surroundings were decorated in the style of the devil's domain. The surroundings were filled with silence. The sinister qi which she felt in the surroundings of the devil's domain had completely disappeared. Facing the chilly wind, Yiqing Luo closed her eyes slightly, feeling the end of a long battle, the feeling of surviving a new lease of life. She had returned to the devil's domain safely. As for the current Huang Wuyo, there was nothing to fear. When Dmo Xian returned, she could totally set off immediately to search for Huang Wuyo, making him disappear from this world completely, completing her mother's dying wish. Everything seemed to be going smoothly. But Yiqing Luo's curly long eyelashes trembled slightly in between her closed eyes. When he opened his eyes again, his eyes that were as bright as the stars were tinged with faint sorrow. She raised her wrist and slightly drooped her eyes, concentrating on the azure dew bracelet on her wrist which looked like blossoming cherry blossom petals. Her fair fingers gently caressed the rippling surface of the bracelet. Old Man Song. When the Divine Emperor sealed the space, Old Man Song had sacrificed himself to protect her and the people she wanted to protect. He sacrificed himself to become her strength. She did not feel touched at all. Old Man Song, that fool, he had lived for so long, but he didn't understand that what she wanted was never his sacrifice. What she wanted was for him to accompany her, to be her family, and to be her mentor. Ever since she came to this other world, he was the first person to accompany her, teach her, and give her a future. From now on, he would never appear in front of her again. She had even said that she would help Old Man Song become a human again. He even said that he wanted Old Man Song to become a real person again. But now, Old Man Song went back on his word. He didn't wait for her. Suddenly, a hand grasped her slender wrist. The man's slender fingers lightly pressed against the azure dew bracelet. His other arm wrapped around the girl's waist and pulled her into his embrace. What's wrong? Why are you frowning? The man stroked the azure dew bracelet and lifted the young girl's wrist, his gaze falling on the blossoming petals of the cherry blossoms. Yiqing Luo shook her head and leaned her head into his embrace. Trying to hide it from me? Dmo Xian slightly bent down and looked her in the eyes. The man's slender hand moved from her wrist to her face and pressed against her lower jaw, forcing her face to face with him. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Lord Overlord, please be gentler with your love and please collect it. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Lord Overlord, please be gentler with your love and please collect it. Chapter 52-79. The girl's resplendent eyes reflected the man's peerlessly handsome face. The man's thin lips spread open, like a blooming flower, making one unable to shift their gaze. Even though she often saw this face and rubbed it up close, Yiqing Luo's heart still couldn't help but beat faster. Her eyelashes blinked faster, wanting to look away, but her head was held in place by the man's fingers. Dmo Xian opened his mouth again. I know you're thinking of Old Man Song. The azure dew bracelet's aura was different from before. Ever since he knew of Old Man Song's existence, Old Man Song had never deliberately concealed his aura in front of him. And now, he could no longer sense the spirituality of the spiritual body. Combined with the girl's pained expression when she looked at the azure dew bracelet, Dmo Xian already understood what had happened. When the three words, Old Man Song, came out of her mouth, the girl's pupils visibly dilated. His eyelashes, which were trembling non-stop, also stopped. Only for a moment, the girl lowered her eyes, concealing the grief in her eyes. Her reaction gave Dmo Xian the most direct answer. Dmo Xian leaned over again and pulled her wrist with the azure dew bracelet in front of her, his voice low. Can't you be a bit more direct and ask me? Who told you that Old Man Song can't come back? Dmo Xian's words were like a touch of water in a dry desert, giving Yiqing Luo hope. The girl's charming eyes suddenly brightened, filled with shock and a bit of careful ecstasy, looking towards Dmo Xian. She didn't open her mouth. But the urgency in her gaze was obviously asking him, really? Old Man Song can really come back? Dmo Xian's slender hand pinched her exquisite face, a trace of doting helplessness floated in between his brows. Aren't you usually very smart? You can understand everything with a little bit. How come now, you're stupid? After he was done pinching her face, he raised his hand and knocked on her little head. Use your brain and think about it. The man then held her wrist again. On her fair, jade-like skin, the azure dew bracelet, which was like a blooming cherry blossom, appeared extremely beautiful. Every petal was like a blossoming flame, flowing with wisps of enchanting red light. Old Song is the guardian spirit of the azure dew bracelet. There is an indispensable bond between artifact spirits and divine artifacts. If Old Man Song really did disappear from this world, it's impossible that the azure dew bracelet wouldn't be affected. Dmo Xian reminded. When Yiqing Luo heard that, her bright eyes overflowed with bits of brilliance. She lowered her eyes and stared at the water on her wrist. Her throat suddenly tightened. When Old Man Zi Tsang disappeared in front of her eyes for her mind was in a mess. He had never thought about this. Now with Dmo Xian's reminder, Yiqing Luo abruptly woke up. Right, Old Man Song was the spirit of the azure dew bracelet. If Old Man Song was truly injured at that time, no matter how well Old Man Song protected the azure dew bracelet would definitely be affected. But the azure dew bracelet was fine. In other words, Old Man Song could still be alive. But in that kind of situation, the things that Old Man Song did, even you could misunderstand, presumably. It should be an extremely dangerous and extremely harmful thing. Dmo Xian gently held her hand in his broad palm. His arm increased the strength of holding her slender waist, giving the young lady a warm and solid sense of security. Seventh young miss who likes trash. Lord Overlord, please be gentle with your love, everyone please collect it. Seventh young miss who likes trash. Lord Overlord, please be gentle with your love, hit me. Chapter 5280. Although Old Man Song should still be alive in this world, I'm afraid his situation is not optimistic. Dmo Xian's mellow voice whispered into her ear, you'd better be mentally prepared. Yiqing Luo's heartstrings, which had just relaxed earlier, were raised once again. She pursed her lips, clenched the man's shirt, and said, I understand your concerns. She laughed, I don't ask for much. As long as I can confirm that Old Man Song will have a chance to return to my side, this is the best result. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, she would definitely do everything she could to find Old Man Song. Suddenly, Yiqing Luo seemed to have thought of something as she abruptly raised her head, her eyes leaping with joy. That's right, Xian. Wasn't Old Man Song's body still in the Earth domain? As long as I use the azure water artifact to help him revive, then he can. Dmo Xian stroked her little head and saw that the young lady's face had finally revealed a smile. Her eyes had also regained its vigor and her thoughts had finally changed accordingly. His eyes that were as deep as ink overflowed with gentleness. Yes. With hope came motivation. After Dmo Xian confirmed several times that Yiqing Luo's body had indeed completely recovered to how it was before he allowed her to walk out of the Devil Hall's courtyard. Previously, the Devil Territory had attracted people from various forces because of the appearance of the Divine Emperor's tomb and the seizure of the Divine Emperor's divine weapon. Then, because of Huang Guio's God Emperor's seal, there was an uproar, causing countless factions to rush to the demon domain. Originally, because the demonic domain was located in the land of extreme negative energy and was filled with baleful aura, no one dared to set foot in it. Now, it was overcrowded. The Demon Hall Master had no way to stop it. How could he stop it? This group of profounders from the various powers had rushed over madly because they'd sensed danger from the Devil Territory. On top of that, there were also inexplicable rumors spreading all over the world. They were all discussing that a demon god had descended from the demon domain and was about to invade the various worlds. Regardless of whether the rumors were true or not, the chaos in the demon domain was real. Out of the protection of his own interface and to avoid harming his own interests. Hence, all the great clans sent their own people to the demon domain to investigate. Of course, the second reason was naturally because there was profit to be made. The tomb of the former divine emperor was found sealed in the demon domain. Along with the emergence of the graveyard were the divine artifacts used by countless former divine emperors and divine artifacts from 10,000 years ago, as burial objects. How much could one's strength be enhanced by simply obtaining one of them? How much could the strength of an entire family be enhanced? Then, there was the so-called demon god's descent into the world. The demon god's rampage greatly affected the entire infernal realm. This kind of unusual movement. How could it not attract the attention of the major forces and people from all walks of life? Because of that, when Yiqing Luo walked out of the courtyard, she saw several familiar figures. The first to bear the brunt were the people of the Feng family. Feng family's patriarch quickly stepped forward and sized Yiqing Luo up from head to toe. "Little Luo, what do you think? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" Feng Liqiong and Granny Feng followed behind him. Although Feng Liqiong didn't say a word, but Yiqing Luo could tell from his arrogant face that he was worried. Yiqing Luo's lips curled as she smiled and shook her head. "If something happens to me, Xian will not let me get down." Feng family's patriarch naturally knew how much Dmo Xian valued Yiqing Luo. The grandfather and granddaughter spoke a few more sentences, and after confirming that Yiqing Luo was fine, Feng family's patriarch then opened his mouth hesitantly. "You saw that demon god? Seventh young miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love." Chapter 5281. Devil God? This unfamiliar title made Yiqing Luo slightly stunned. Feng family's patriarch pursed his lips as his expression changed. "It's the man who was sealed by little Gu. Huang Wuyo. Devil God? How did Huang Wuyo get the title of Devil God?" Dmo Xian explained the recent rumors in her ear. The devil domain was in turmoil, and the person who was sealed by the former god emperor broke the seal. After all, this was the devil domain's territory. Naturally, the crowd gave Huang Wuyo a title. Devil God. It sounded like it was very powerful. Thinking of Huang Wuyo, Yiqing Luo's expression changed slightly. He has already left the god emperor's seal. Although they already knew this result. Hearing Yiqing Luo's admission, Feng family's patriarch and Feng Liqiong's expression changed slightly. Feng family's patriarch's brows knitted tightly as his expression was complicated. "That man. If he breaks the seal, I'm afraid the first thing he will do is to seek revenge on the Feng family." Initially, it was Feng Gu who exhausted his energy and even sacrificed his life to seal him. And now, Feng Gu had disappeared from this world. Who else could restrain Huang Wuyo? Qing Luo? No. They had already lost Feng Gu. They absolutely could not lose Yiqing Luo again. Yiqing Luo naturally understood what her grandfather was thinking. Her long and narrow eyes stared at Feng family's patriarch solemnly. Her tone was gentle, but with a convincing firmness. "The current him, I'm afraid he can only barely protect himself. He doesn't have the energy to seek revenge on the Feng family." Huang Wuyo running to the Feng family at this time, wasn't that throwing himself into a trap? Feng family's patriarch's brows didn't relax because of this. His tone was still solemn. "Be careful, he has too many ancient evil arts on him, I'm worried. He will hurt you. I have something he wants on me." Yiqing Luo comforted. "Before he gets what he wants, he won't do anything to me." The young lady paused for a moment as she pulled the peerless man beside her, her pink lips hooked. "Moreover, with Xian by my side, he won't dare to act rashly." Patriarch Feng's vision shifted onto Dmo Xian. After a moment of silence, he sighed softly and said, "This is your fate. From the moment you were born, this fate was already set in stone. This ill-fated fate started because of you, and it will also end because of you. Even if I want to stop it, I can't stop the arrangements of fate." Yiqing Luo's birth was a scheme. If he wanted to escape his control, he had to be able to do it. His life was his to decide, not anyone else's. No matter how worried he was, no matter how much he wanted to protect his granddaughter, He could protect her for a while, but he could not protect her forever. Furthermore, this ill-fated relationship had to come to an end. Thinking of all the things that happened recently, Phong Clan Master closed his eyes tiredly. Grandfather, Mother is willing to believe in me and choose me. This means that I definitely have the ability to fulfill Mother's last wish. The young girl's soft little hand covered the Phong family patriarch's slightly rough hand. Her tone was gentle, but it was filled with determination. I am the successor that the Divine Phoenix has recognized, and I am the current Divine Phoenix Emperor. Grandfather should believe in my abilities. She lightly patted Phong Clan Master's hand. 10,000 years ago, that incredible Huang Wuyo, who even Mother couldn't gain any advantage in his hands. But now, he was forced by me to the point of running away like a rat with its tail between its legs. Her lips curled upwards, as beautiful as a flower, so. What kind of waves can he still stir up now? Phong Clan Master looked at the face in front of him, which was exactly the same as Phong Ge's. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Overlord. Please be gentler with your love. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5282. But the expression on this face was much more lively than Phong Ge's. Phong Ge was undoubtedly powerful. However, the burden on her shoulders made it impossible for her to relax. Even in front of Huang Wuyo. The smile on Phong Ge's face was not wholeheartedly devoted. But Yiqing Luo was different. Yiqing Luo was confident and arrogant. Her every action and expression made one involuntarily believe in her. This was something that had never been seen on Phong Ge. Yiqing Luo and Phong Ge were alike. But not alike. Phong family patriarch looked at the young lady's bright and unrestrained expression, and after a long time, the tightened thread in his heart suddenly relaxed. As though he had thought something through. He smiled. All right, grandfather believes you. This was his granddaughter, Phong Ge's daughter, the new divine phoenix of God realm. He should believe in her, believe in Phong Ge, believe in divine phoenix's recognition. The grandfather and granddaughter looked at each other with a smile. Phong Liqiong, who was standing by the side, looked at Yiqing Luo unnaturally and spoke in a tsundere tone, "Be careful, don't let us worry." Saying that, she turned her head away. Looking at Phong Liqiong's blushing face and that unnatural expression, Yiqing Luo's slender eyes curved. "Got it, uncle." She paused and suddenly thought of something as she immediately asked, "Oh yes, uncle, is Cece all right?" In the God Emperor's sealed space, Phong Shi was also sucked into the space because of Linglong. Later on, she was stimulated to activate the Divine Phoenix's bloodline. Although later on, she was saved by someone. But the situation was not optimistic. Speaking of Phong Shi, Phong Liqiong's expression turned slightly cold. His brows furrowed tightly. Yiqing Luo noticed the change in his expression. "Uncle, has Cece not woken up yet? I'll go take a look at him." "He has woken up, but..." Phong family patriarch spoke on behalf of Phong Liqiong as he sighed, "But Cece might have to leave the Phong family." "Leave the Phong family?" Yiqing Luo asked. "Why?" Phong family patriarch took a look at Phong Liqiong, and seeing that he had no intention to speak, he continued. "Cece's mother is here." Yiqing Luo's pupils dilated when she heard that. The image of the white-robed figure who had appeared after Phong Shi had activated her Divine Emperor bloodline in the sealed space of the Divine Emperor suddenly appeared in his mind. Was that woman Phong Shi's mother? She had rushed to the Divine Emperor's sealed space to save Phong Shi. The situation was urgent. Yiqing Luo totally couldn't differentiate who that lady was. He could only guess. That woman's strength should not be weak, at least above the Phong family. Otherwise, they would not have been able to reach the seal of the Divine Phoenix unscathed and rescue Phong Shi. However, it was that woman who had left Phong Shi in the Phong family. Now, he had suddenly appeared. Did he want to take Phong Shi away? Did she suddenly have the so-called motherly love, or did she have other intentions? Perhaps guessing what Yi Qing Luo was thinking about, Feng family's matriarch spoke out. It's because we didn't protect little Shi properly, which caused little Shi to fall into such a dangerous situation, almost losing her life. He sighed softly. If she had not appeared in time to save little Shi, I'm afraid, as Feng clan master spoke to this point, he couldn't continue to speak. Yi Qing Luo also got the gist of it. That woman was blaming them for not protecting Feng Shi properly. So now she wanted to take Feng Shi away. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5283. Yi Qing Luo pursed her pink lips. I'll go take a look. Feng Shi was placed in the palace where Feng Liqiong and Feng Qiong lived, which was next door to Yi Qing Luo. When Yi Qing Luo followed behind Feng Qiong, the man next to her suddenly hooked her finger. The man's slender finger joints were distinct. His slightly curved finger hooked on the young girl's slender fingertip. Yi Qing Luo caught hold of his fingers as she glanced sideways at him in puzzlement, using her eyes to inquire, "What's the matter?" The two of them walked side by side and their steps were surprisingly consistent. The breeze blew a few strands of the man's black hair from time to time, which brushed past the young girl's face, giving her a slight itchy feeling. The man's handsome face, when he looked at her from the side, looked even more handsome and peerless. Later on, if we see anyone, the man lowered his voice and whispered, "Don't be too surprised." Yi Qing Luo blinked her long eyelashes. What did this sentence mean? Very soon, Yi Qing Luo understood the meaning of Dmo Xian's words. When she walked into Feng Shi's room and saw the slender and graceful figure sitting by the bed, she was instantly dumbfounded. She blinked and rubbed her eyes again. The fairy-like woman in a flowing white dress was really sitting there. Hearing the sound behind her, the woman stood up slowly. The white gauze on her was like a green smoke or a flowing cloud, slowly falling down. She slowly turned her head and looked behind her. And that familiar face was revealed in front of Yi Qing Luo. Bai Su. Who else could the person in front of her be but Bai Su? Bai Su was the woman who cooperated with Dmo Xian previously. Dmo Xian was looking for the profound flame Tianshu diagram in the Nirvana realm, while she was stationed in the dark. She was also the biological sister of the teacher named Bai Mei who had a crush on Dmo Xian in Nirvana realm's gods class who wanted to be an old cow eating the cradle. Yi Qing Luo knew that Bai Su's identity was very mysterious. Probably as mysterious as Dmo Xian. The last time she saw Bai Su, she was still in a spiritual state. Yi Qing Luo had never thought Bai Su was actually Feng Shi's mother. Feng Shi's mother was Bai Su. No wonder Dmo Xian had to remind her of that before they came. But even if Dmo Xian had reminded him, seeing Bai Su at this time, Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but be surprised. Hearing the noise at the door, Bai Su turned around immediately. His gaze first fell on Feng Liqiong. Her beautiful face instantly darkened. She was just about to yell at Feng Liqiong to get out of the room and out of her sight. Suddenly, she heard a clear and melodious little voice calling her name. Bai Su's beautiful eyes moved slightly as she looked towards the direction of the voice. When she saw that it was Yi Qing Luo, the expression on her face eased slightly. Miss Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo blinked her eyes. The face in front of him was indeed Bai Su's. However, the Bai Su in front of her was not in her previous spiritual state. She was standing in front of her in her human form. Bai Su saw the astonishment on the girl's face. Bai Su raised her lips and revealed her first smile since she appeared in the Feng residence. This smile made her elegant and refined face look like a flower in full bloom, which made people unable to take their eyes off her. She took the initiative to say, "I am Feng Shi's biological mother, Bai Su." Yi Qing Luo, it was one thing to know. Hearing her admit it, it was inevitable that she was shocked. Trash seventh young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash seventh young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5284. Feng family master on the side looked at the interaction between the two and seemed to react. Little Luo, you and this Miss Bai, know each other? This was the first time he met Bai Su. When he found out that Bai Su was Feng Shi's biological mother, he confirmed that Bai Su was Feng Shi's biological mother after confirming the details and the bloodline between Bai Su and Feng Shi. Until now, Feng clan master hasn't recovered from this change. Now, he saw that Bai Su and Yiqing Luo knew each other. He was increasingly curious about Bai Su's identity. On the other hand, he was looking forward to it. If Xiao Luo and Xiao Shi's biological mother knew each other, could she help to persuade Bai Su to let Feng Shi stay in the Feng residence? Or, both mother and son could stay. Lord Feng's motive was too obvious. He was a little cautious when he spoke. Bai Su interrupted Lord Feng's fantasy and said calmly, Lord Feng, I will not let Cici stay in the Feng residence. You don't have enough ability to protect Cici. There wasn't much aggression in her tone. She was just expressing her thoughts calmly. Feng Liqiong frowned and said coldly, Xiao Shi is also my child. It was you. Just as he was about to speak, he caught a glimpse of the little person lying on the bed, and the words that were about to come out of his mouth stopped in his throat. He pursed his lips and continued, We've been taking care of little Shi for so many years, especially my father. The relationship between grandfather and grandson can't be broken so easily. You've not only hurt my father and I by forcefully separating little Shi from us, but also little Shi. This is the consequence of leaving Cici in your care. Compared to Feng Liqiong, Bai Su was much calmer. Even the expression on her face did not change much. Now that Cici's divine phoenix bloodline has been activated, there will be more and more people coveting him. Do you think that you can protect Cici with just the two of you? Feng Liqiong's face stiffened. Lord Feng moved his lips but didn't know what to say. Bai Su looked indifferent and continued to speak calmly. Cici can only get the best protection if he stays by my side. I will not hand him over to you. You. Feng Liqiong was a straight man, but when she heard Bai Su's last sentence, her face turned livid, and she opened her mouth to refute. Yiqing Luo first pressed on Feng Liqiong's hand and interrupted his words. All right, let me see how Cici is now. After that, she pushed Feng Liqiong to Patriarch Feng and walked to Bai Su. Then, he took Bai Su's hand and walked to the bedside. Feng Liqiong still wanted to say something, but she was stopped by Patriarch Feng. Patriarch Feng shook his head at her, signaling her not to speak again. Bai Su was very determined. This time, Feng Shi's injury was indeed due to their negligence. It was reasonable for Bai Su to vent her anger on them. If they continued to talk about this topic, they would probably part on bad terms again. However, something small fell here. Perhaps, there would be a turn for the better. Yiqing Luo took Bai Su and walked to Feng Shi's bedside. She lowered her eyes and looked at the little man on the bed. His face was pale and his eyes were tightly shut. Her heart ached as she sat down beside him and reached out to touch his forehead. Feng Shi must have just taken the medicine and fallen asleep again. At this moment, his brows were slightly furrowed. Obviously, he was still not feeling well, which made him very uncomfortable. Yiqing Luo gently picked up his wrist and checked his pulse. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5285. Feng Shi's internal injuries weren't too serious after recuperation. But because of the divine phoenix bloodline, her small body couldn't bear too much energy, which was beyond what her body could bear, which led to a huge loss of energy. Her other external and internal injuries were all treated. But, she still had to recuperate for a period of time before she could fully recover. Yiqing Luo put Feng Shi's hand under the quilt and looked at Bai Su. I'm sorry, the main reason why Cici became like this is because of me, because she had brought Linglong back to the Feng family. Which led to Feng Shi being brought into the Divine Emperor's seal because she chased after Linglong. Which was why she almost lost her life in the hands of Huang Wuyo. After all, because of her. I don't blame you or anyone else. Bai Su shook her head. When she looked at Feng Shi, a gentle expression that only a mother could have appeared on that incomparably beautiful face. She reached out and gently stroked Feng Shi's hair on her forehead, saying in a gentle voice, "I chose to give birth to Cici. I had already guessed this would happen. I just didn't expect it to be so soon." Already knew Huang Guiyou would hurt Feng Shi? Wait a minute. Yiqing Luo suddenly seemed to have thought of something and her expression froze. She looked sideways at Bai Su. Bai Su smiled warmly at her. When their eyes met, she found the answer in each other's eyes. Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly skipped a beat. "Let's talk outside." She glanced at Feng Shi, then stood up and walked towards the door. Bai Su didn't refuse. She tucked Feng Shi in and followed Yiqing Luo out of the door. When she passed by Feng Liqiong and the Feng family's patriarch, she glanced at them indifferently but didn't say anything and walked straight out of the door. This was also the intention, to let them take care of Feng Shi for the time being. Outside the door, Yiqing Luo was waiting not far away. Bai Su walked over slowly, her white dress fluttering in the wind. In the magical style of the Devil Palace, she looked like a fairy who had descended to the mortal world. She walked to Yiqing Luo's side. The two walked side by side, aimlessly. When they were more than 10 meters away from the palace, Yiqing Luo finally opened her mouth. "You long knew that Feng Shi would be the successor to the throne after me?" Bai Su's lips curled up into a beautiful smile, but there was a hint of helplessness in it. "Yes, I already knew it when I was pregnant with him. I also know that once I give birth to him, his life will always be accompanied by danger." "But you still gave birth to him." Yiqing Luo thought that if it was her, she would make the same choice as Bai Su. Even if Bai Su did not love Feng Liqiong. Even though Bai Su knew that giving birth to this child meant that she might lose her life. But this was also her child. The child of her flesh and blood. How could she bear to give up? Back then, when I was pregnant with Cici, I was wholeheartedly preparing for Cici's future. I wanted to use my power to seal the divine phoenix's bloodline in Cici's body. I hoped that he could become an ordinary person. So, after giving birth to Cici, I sought the method that the former divine emperor used to seal you, to seal Cici like you did in the past, but I didn't have the ability to send Cici to another realm to preserve the vitality of his soul. I could only let him maintain his life, forever in the form of a baby, and I searched everywhere for the method to seal the divine phoenix's bloodline. Until I was in the Nirvana realm, I heard the news of the Xian Yen Tianshu diagram. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5286. The Profound Flames Dubhe diagram was the map to Feng Ge graveyard. It was the key to opening it. Bai Su wanted to find the map and enter Feng Ge's tomb to find out how to seal the divine phoenix bloodline in Feng Shi. For so many years, Bai Su had been looking for ways to protect Feng Shi. It was also for this reason that she left Feng Shi in the Feng family's care. But Bai Su didn't expect that. Feng Shi finally stimulated the divine phoenix bloodline in front of Huang Guiyou. This also meant that Huang Guiyou's target would be Feng Shi. She didn't believe that the Feng family had enough power to protect Feng Shi. She only believed in herself. So she wanted to take Feng Shi away from Huang Guiyou. Yiqing Luo understood Bai Su's feelings. However, even until now, Yiqing Luo was still a little surprised that Bai Su was Feng Shi's mother and her uncle's woman. Of course, even though the two of them had that one night, it was all for other reasons than love. But it was undeniable that there was a period between Bai Su and her uncle. After all, the two of them had Feng Shi to tie them down. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways as she looked at the lady beside her. Her brows were slightly drooped, her gorgeous red lips were slightly pursed and her pretty brows were slightly knitted. She was obviously distressed. But when she mentioned Feng Shi, Bai Su's beautiful face showed a little gentleness. That was maternal gentleness. Yiqing Luo sighed softly. Even though Feng Shi and Bai Su had never interacted with each other, but the relationship of blood and kinship gave them a natural sense of affinity. Yiqing Luo recalled that when she was in Feng Shi's room earlier, Bai Su sat by Feng Shi's bedside and that gentle look made her heart soften. Qing Luo. Suddenly, Bai Su turned her head and met Yiqing Luo's eyes. She called out Yiqing Luo's name with a solemn expression. Yiqing Luo was stunned, but she didn't feel embarrassed about being caught peeping. She answered, "What's wrong? Do you think Cici will be willing to leave with me?" Bai Su's tone was obviously perturbed when she asked this question. This was the first time for Yiqing Luo to see Bai Su, who had always been gorgeous and flamboyant, showing such an expression. Just as Yiqing Luo was still in a daze and didn't reply, Bai Su continued nervously, "I never participated in his past life." Just now, Feng Liqiong was worried about Cici's unfinished words. "I know what he wanted to say. He wants to say that I was the one who left Cici in the Feng manor. No matter what the reason is, the person who left Cici behind is me." At this point, Bai Su's voice trembled a little. She slowly turned her head and lowered her eyes to hide the pain in them. "If Cici is unwilling to forgive me, and is unwilling to leave with me, what should I do?" Yiqing Luo could tell that Bai Su's heart was full of complexity and apprehension. She really loved Feng Shi. He did not want to force Feng Shi, nor did he want to force her to make any choice. That was why she felt so conflicted and uncomfortable. Yiqing Luo's brows gradually turned gentle. She reached out and held the back of Bai Su's cold hand. She comforted her, "I feel that Cici has never blamed you." The young girl's voice was soft, with a special, reassuring power. Bai Su's breathing gradually calmed down. Then she heard the young girl say softly, "If you want to take Cici away, he will definitely go with you." Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5287. Bai Su suddenly raised her head and looked at Yiqing Luo in surprise. Perhaps she was surprised that Yiqing Luo was so sure. Or perhaps she was surprised that Yiqing Luo, as a member of the Feng family, would not stand on her side and let her take Feng Shi away. But Yiqing Luo looked in the direction of Feng Shi's room and said in a calm voice, as if she was stating a fact, "Cici will leave with you, but he may not be happy for a long time." Bai Su's pupils contracted a little. After that, she lowered her eyes and pursed her red lips. She understood what Yiqing Luo meant. She couldn't refute her words. Indeed, Feng Shi might leave with her because she was his mother. However, it was impossible for Feng Shi to forget about the Feng family and the He family. Feng Shi had grown up in the Feng family since she could remember. There must be an indelible relationship between her and the Feng family. Even if Feng Shi had gotten used to living with her in the future. But the Feng family was still in Feng Shi's heart. Perhaps she would reminisce about them in a place where she couldn't see in the dead of night. Bai Su was silent and didn't know what to say. Yiqing Luo gave a slight smile as her fair little hand held onto her soft hand. "Actually, why don't you consider staying in the Feng family?" The young girl's voice was soft and gentle, like a feather, gently stroking Bai Su's heart which was already filled with ripples. Bai Su's eyelashes trembled slightly. Just like her heart at this moment, it also trembled. Ripples spread and splashed. That feather tickled a certain part of his body, making him feel a little itchy. Consider, stay in the Feng family? That was indeed the best way. She could stay by Feng Shi's side, accompany her, take care of her, and protect her. And it could also save Feng Shi from the pain of being separated from her family. But what identity should she use to stay in the Feng family? How should she face the Feng family? How should she face Feng Liqiong? She couldn't get along with them calmly. The young girl seemed to have seen through her thoughts from the expression on her face. She slightly increased the strength of the hand that held her. Yiqing Luo smiled and gently touched Bai Su's palm with her slender fingertips. She smiled and said, "You're a pure and innocent woman, yet you've been defiled by my little uncle. It's my little uncle who has let you down." You also gave birth to such a lovely and well-behaved child for our Feng family. This is also our entire Feng family's shame to you. Therefore, you are naturally qualified to live in the Feng mansion. Stay here as Feng Shi's mother. Baisu raised her eyes slightly and met the girl's smiling eyes. She pursed her lips and said in a low voice, I'll think about it. Yiqing Luo patted the back of her hand. Facing the current Baisu, she didn't feel like she was facing a senior who was much older than her. Instead, she comforted her like a friend. Don't give yourself too much pressure, you just need to remember one thing, you're in the Phoenix Manor for Cici. That's enough. Of course, Yiqing Luo hoped that Baisu could stay. In this way, Feng Shi could also stay in the Feng family. After all, the Feng family's patriarch was old. Feng Shi's departure would definitely have a great impact on the Feng family's patriarch. Moreover, she did have her own selfish motives. Baisu's strength was similar to Dmo Xian's. If Baisu stayed in the Feng family, even if Huang Guiyou wanted to secretly plot something, at least, Baisu could protect him a little. Chapter 5288. With Baisu around, she could also settle her own affairs with a peace of mind. Based on Huang Guiyou's dark rat temperament, it was absolutely impossible to give up on his plans and ambitions. He would definitely start from the people around her, making use of the people she cared about, threatening her, to achieve his goal. So if Baisu was in the Feng residence, the safety of the Feng family could basically be guaranteed. And there was one more point, which was the most important point. Yiqing Luo wanted to matchmake Baisu as her aunt. After all, Baisu and Feng Liqiong already had Feng Shi. Although this was a place that did not have a lot of restrictions on women like in the real history, it was a different world from the real history. But even in the 21st century, there would be a lot of rumors about a woman getting pregnant before marriage, not to mention here. Even if Baisu didn't care. But, Feng Shi was the eldest son of the divine Phoenix Feng family, the future head of the Feng family and the chosen successor to the divine emperor. She would eventually stand in front of everyone and accept everyone's gaze. However, once Feng Shi's identity was criticized by others, she would not be able to control herself. Baisu's reputation would be ruined. Even Feng Shi would be greatly affected. If it was possible, she hoped that Feng Liqiong and Baisu could have a good ending. Of course, if both parties had no feelings. That was not something that could be forced. After Yiqing Luo finished her words, she didn't say anything else or urged Baisu to give an answer. Baisu needed to think clearly about this kind of thing. The two of them kept silent as they walked forward. After about the time it took for half an incense stick to burn, Baisu suddenly stopped in her tracks and glanced sideways at Yiqing Luo's beautiful face. She sighed softly and said solemnly, I will think about it. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled up slightly as she nodded with a smile. Considering meant that there was a chance. She only hoped that straight uncle of hers wouldn't be so reckless as to kill his own son's mother. Devil Domain, desolate land. The rolling hills were withered and lifeless. Even the surrounding air seemed to be condensed with thick yin qi, which was somewhat creepy. This was a desolate land which was second only to the Devil Domain's extreme negative energy, Mount Wuren. Mount Wuren. As the name suggested, it was a place where no one could step in. Throughout the year, not a single shadow could be seen. But, right now, a dense cloud of yin energy could be vaguely seen amidst the withered and lifeless mountain range. The entire uninhabited mountain became even more gloomy and gloomy. It seemed to be shrouded in a deathly aura. At the foot of the uninhabited mountain, a group of about 17 or 18 people were looking up at the desolate mountain range. A beautiful woman followed the leader carefully and said in an exceptionally nervous voice, young lord. Are you really going to enter the uninhabited mountain alone? The leader of the group wore an ink-colored robe without the slightest ornament, making him seem extremely plain. However, the cloth and the patterns embroidered on the robe were clearly luxurious. Furthermore, the aura of that person was as cold as a 1,000-year-old glacier, capable of freezing the air and the surroundings. His unbound black hair hung loosely behind him, fluttering in the wind. His face that was as cold as cast was completely solemn, without the slightest fluctuation of emotion. The man didn't turn back as his gaze was fixated on Mount Wuren without blinking. His expression was neither happy nor sad. Go back. But young lord. The 17 or 18 people behind him couldn't help but opened their mouths to say something. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 52-89. The man had already raised his hand and made a gesture to stop them. Those 17 to 18 people were helpless as they swallowed all the words they wanted to say. The illusory clan cannot be left without anyone. The man's voice was as calm as his expression. You are the last hope of the illusory clan, live on. The woman behind and the man who was closest to him revealed a complicated expression. As though she couldn't hold it in any longer, the woman clenched her fists tightly as she said, Young lord, you are the last hope of the illusory clan. If anything happens to you, where will you place the illusory clan, and where will you place us? They could even abandon the princess of the illusory clan for their young lord. But now, young lord wanted to abandon them. Was there any possibility for their illusory clan to revive? The man's cold and emotionless expression was slightly moved after the woman finished her words. He glanced sideways and finally fixed his vision on the woman. But there was still no fluctuation of emotions in his eyes. Huan Luo, bring the people of the illusory clan and leave God realm. Find a place to live well. His voice, like the expression on his face, didn't fluctuate much. As for the revenge of the illusory clan, I believe Yiqing Luo will definitely be able to take revenge for the illusory clan. Huan Luo's voice choked as her beautiful little face turned extremely pale. Her little hands clenched tightly as her throat was a little dry. Has young lord already decided to abandon us? The man. Zhu Wuxian's eyes moved slightly as he swept past the 10 over illusory clan's people in front of him. He was also the last person left in the illusory clan. In the past, for me, every single day was for the sake of revenge. I have never been happy, nor have I ever grumbled. Because, this is my destiny. But ever since I met that woman who could bring me warmth, everything is no longer the same. The reason for my survival has one more. The man's voice was very soft, and after he finished his words, he paused for a long time. As though he was deliberating over his next words. Or as though he was thinking of that woman. Even that cold and emotionless face showed some gentleness. He even directly used, I, and not, this young lord. This was enough to tell. That young lady called Yiqing Luo, in his heart, what kind of important position did she hold? I don't want to make myself regret it. He stared at the desolate mountain range in front of him, his eyes as calm as still water. But on that pale and cold face, one could faintly see the ripples between his brows. I want to live for myself for once. Just once. The illusion clansmen were silent for a while. Looking at the back view of the young master, who was covered in a cold aura but also exuded a sense of loneliness. They couldn't say a single word to stop him. They knew this the best. Their young master had suffered a lot to revive the illusory race. Their young master had been living for the illusory tribe since he was born. Because he knew his mission. Their young master had never said anything against them. All this while, he had always kept his identity in mind and his goal in mind. Everyone's throat tightened, and in the end, it turned into a deep sigh. Huan Luo's lips moved, but she couldn't utter a single word. Zhu Wuxin slowly brushed away the hand on his wrist. His expression was calm, his tone indifferent. You can go back. Saying that, he lifted his feet and walked towards the uninhabited mountain. He had just taken 2 steps. He heard a melodious bell-like voice coming from his back, with a hint of anger. Zhu Wuxin, stop right there. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5290. That voice echoed in the empty and desolate mountain range. The people of the illusory tribe looked in the direction of the voice. They saw a woman dressed in a light blue outfit striding toward them. The woman was tall, and her jet black hair was tied behind her head, revealing her elegant and flamboyant face. She looked clean and neat, with a heroic bearing. When Huan Luo saw that person, her face immediately lit up. "Captain Su, quickly come and persuade Lord Young Master. If it's you. He will definitely listen to you." The woman did not reply. Her eyes were calm as she looked at Zhu Wuxin's figure. The corners of her mouth rose slightly. "Zhu Wuxin, do you still want to hide from me?" The woman walked toward Zhu Wuxin step by step. The people of the illusory tribe automatically made way for her. Obviously, the people of the illusory tribe were very familiar with this woman. "What are you doing here?" Zhu Wuxin glanced sideways at the woman behind him. "Su Qingbing, you are the captain of the bloody mercenary group. You don't have the right to be willful." "No." The woman's expression did not change. Her eyes were firm. "I am no longer bound by the mercenary group." Zhu Wuxin's cold face, which was usually emotionless, faintly showed some strange emotions. "You left the bloody mercenary group?" "Yes," the woman answered straightforwardly. "Are you crazy?" Zhu Wuxin finally shifted his gaze to the woman. Su Qingbing slowly extended her hand, holding Zhu Wuxin's wrist. "If you're crazy, I'll be crazy with you." Zhu Wuxin pursed his lips, focusing on Su Qingbing's hand on his wrist. He did not say anything, but he did not shake off Su Qingbing's hand. The people of the illusory tribe felt the hidden fluctuations between the two of them. They looked left and right. Huan Luo could not help but ask in a low voice, "Captain Su, aren't you here to stop Lord Young Master from doing something stupid?" "No." Su Qingbing slowly tightened her grip on Zhu Wuxin's wrist. Then, she smiled faintly. "I'm going crazy with him." Huan Luo's face instantly turned pale. Su Qingbing was not here to persuade their Lord Young Master. Instead, he wanted to accompany the young master into the uninhabited mountain. Looking at Huan Luo's expression, Su Qingbing's smile became even more beautiful. "With me around, at least, you will feel more at ease, won't you?" The illusion clansmen were speechless. Indeed. If young lord insists on entering the uninhabited mountain. Su Qingbing was following them. He could more or less take care of young master. Moreover, they understood Su Qingbing's feelings for their young master. If the young master was in any danger, Su Qingbing would definitely do her best to protect him. But, the people of the illusion race looked at each other and wanted to say something. Su Qingbing interrupted their thoughts. "No one can change what he has decided. Do as he says and leave the last bloodline of the illusion race here." The people of the illusion race were speechless. In the end, they could only watch helplessly as Su Qingbing held onto Zhu Wuxin's arm and the two of them gradually disappeared in front of them, completely blending into the desolate uninhabited mountain. Huan Luo clenched her fists, loosened them, and loosened them again. Her eyes were scarlet. "Huan 3, why didn't you stop the young master?" When she opened her mouth, her voice was a little choked. Beside her, the expressionless young man glanced at her and said coldly, "Indeed, no one can change what the young master has decided." "Seventh young mistress who likes trash, Lord Dizun, please be gentler." "Seventh young mistress who likes trash, Lord Dizun, please be gentler." Chapter 5291. Huan Luo pursed her lips and turned her head away. Huan 3 turned around expressionlessly and walked away. "Let's go." That cold and indifferent word made everyone from the illusion clan looked at each other in dismay. But Huan 3 didn't stop as he walked further and further away. Huan Luo was still standing on the same spot as she looked towards the direction of Mount No Man, not moving at all. Everyone from the illusion clan looked left and right. Just as Huan 3's figure was about to disappear in front of their eyes. In the end, they still chose to chase after Huan 3. Inside Mount No Man, Su Qingbing supported Zhu Wu Xian as they walked step by step slowly into the mountain. The atmosphere between the two of them was strange as they remained silent. After walking for about half an incense's time, Zhu Wu Xian was the first to speak, breaking the silence. Why are you following me? Whatever you're here for, I'm here for. Su Qingbing's lips curled slightly as she glanced sideways at the cold man beside her. Zhu Wu Xian frowned slightly. This matter doesn't have much to do with you. Why are you doing this? That's right. It indeed doesn't have much to do with me. Su Qingbing laughed lightly, but Zhu Wu Xian, the newly appointed God Emperor and revered worryless matter, what does it have to do with you? The lady's question made Zhu Wu Xian speechless. Su Qingbing shifted her gaze as her pair of spirited beautiful eyes looked towards the front. Her voice was as calm as water, just like Zhu Wu Xian, unable to stir up any huge waves. Her lips curled as she spoke calmly. You're doing it for Qing Luo, I'm doing it for you. I'm no different from you. Su Qingbing. Zhu Wu Xian's thin lips moved slightly as he spat out Su Qingbing's name. Su Qingbing looked up at the sky as she interrupted Zhu Wu Xian's words. Don't talk to me about principles, to tell the truth. You don't have any rights to say that to me. After all, if I used the same words to make you give up on the newly appointed god Phoenix, would you be willing? Zhu Wu Xian. That's right. This was the answer that Su Qingbing had expected, but it still made Su Qingbing's heart feel a little stabbing pain. She ignored the throbbing pain in her heart and forced a smile. My goal is to make you feel guilty towards me. You'll see everything I've done for you. Perhaps I'll exist in your eyes. Who knows? Su Qingbing's brisk voice and tone eased the heavy atmosphere between the two of them a little. The two of them walked for a while. Zhu Wu Xian spoke again, breaking the silence. Do you know why I came to Desolate Mountain? I more or less understand you. Su Qingbing tilted her head and looked at him with a smile in her eyes. She and Zhu Wuxin could be considered friends. She had thought about it many times. If only she had been the first person to give Zhu Wuxin warmth back then. Would the result be different? But there was no such thing as if. She could only stand by his side as a friend, as a brother, and accompany him. At the thought of the past, Su Qingbing's eyes lit up with some tranquility and serenity. You came all the way to Desolate Mountain, a place with such a thick murderous aura. I can't think of any other reason besides the newly appointed god Phoenix. Su Qingbing smiled. She's my love rival after all. Aren't you being too cruel to me by asking me to answer this question? Zhu Wu Xian's expression did not change much. It's still not too late to go back now. You're chasing me away just like that? Su Qingbing suddenly stretched out her hand boldly and held his arm. Seventh young mistress who likes trash, Lord Dizun, please be gentler. Seventh young mistress who likes trash, Lord Dizun, please be gentler. Chapter 5292. Zhu Wuxin struggled. Su Qingbing clung to him even tighter. The lady's elegant face was even more calm. Zhu Wuxin, since I've decided to follow you, I'm prepared to be shameless, just like how you treat the new divine Phoenix. Her smile was also magnanimous. What's more, you really need me now, don't you? Zhu Wu Xian's cold face froze slightly. I've liked you for so many years, and I'm also the only one who can stay by your side for so long. My understanding of you is far beyond your imagination. The lady smiled brightly, but there was more sincerity in her smile. It was as if this would be the last time she would pour out her feelings. Therefore, she held nothing back. Zhu Wuxin's thin lips moved slightly, as if he wanted to say something, but he didn't say anything in the end. He just walked forward silently. Su Qingbing, on the other hand, no longer had so many concerns after she opened her heart. She tilted her head and stared at Zhu Wuxin's side profile. The place where Supremacy Wireless was sealed has become the #1 place of extreme een in the demon territory after years of nurturing by Supremacy Wireless. This also means that Supremacy Wireless needs een chi and murderous aura as the source of power. Apart from the Demon Destruction Mountain in the demon territory, the only other place in the demon territory that is filled with murderous aura is Immortal Mountain. She paused. So, Supremacy Wireless must be recuperating somewhere in this Immortal Mountain. In the Demon Palace of the Demon Territory. After 2 days of consideration, and after Baisu tested Feng Shi's thoughts and attitude, she finally decided to stay in the Feng residence. When she made her decision, the Feng family master looked delighted. Master Feng was delighted. He looked at Baisu as if she was his future daughter-in-law. Feng Liqiong's expression was a little stiff. When she looked at Baisu, she looked away unnaturally. Finally, when no one was paying attention, she secretly said to Baisu, "Thank you." Baisu glanced at him expressionlessly. Then, her gaze returned to Feng Shi, who was still sleeping soundly, and her eyes became gentle. However, his voice was still as cold as ever. "You don't have to thank me. I stayed behind for Cici. In the past 6 years, I didn't fulfill my duty as a mother. I didn't stay by his side and watch him grow. For the past 6 years, he has lacked the care of a mother. So, I don't want Cici to lose her father, grandfather, and loved ones because of me in the future. I just want Cici to be happy. It has nothing to do with you." The woman's emotions were very indifferent, and her words were also so straightforward that no one could respond to her. Feng Liqiong's expression stiffened even further. Her mouth moved, but when she looked at the woman's gentle profile, it was as if there was a gentle light shining on that beautiful face. All the words were stuck in her throat, unable to come out. Seeing this, Feng family master quickly opened his mouth to break the strange atmosphere between the two sides. He strode forward with a big smile on his face. "It's good that you stay. It's good that you stay. Cici has always wanted his father and mother to stay with him since he was young. Now that he can finally fulfill his wish, he will be very happy." Of course, Feng family master hoped that if Baisu could be with Feng Liqiong, not only would Feng Liqiong's marriage be resolved, but they would also be able to reunite as a family. Now, the only one who could make Baisu stay was Feng Shi. The Feng family master was already thinking about how to discuss with Feng Shi secretly so that Feng Shi could be a godly assistant. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5293. Baisu stayed in the demon hall just like that. The Feng family members were overjoyed. But the various powerhouses in the demon domain couldn't even smile. The demon domain was originally separated from the outside world. It was rare to meet outsiders in 100 years. Towards those outsiders, the people in the demon domain were naturally against it. But now, wave after wave of people from the outside world came one after another, practically filling up the entire demon realm. This made the people in the demon domain start to panic. They were all guessing. Did the outside world intend to join forces to attack the demon domain? Now, even the new divine phoenix of the god world had brought along her entire family and stayed in the demon domain. This made the people in the demon domain have the guts. The feeling that the outside world intended to invade the demon domain. But, it was what they thought. The people from the demon domain who had always been known as bloodthirsty, cold-blooded and loved to kill, had no thoughts of starting a war at this moment. What a joke. Some time ago, the newly appointed god Phoenix inherited the god emperor's inheritance. The people in the demon domain had witnessed it with their own eyes. And their legend from 10,000 years ago, the man known as the demon dragon, the king of the demon domain, was so respectful in front of the newly appointed god Phoenix. Then there was that person, the old man in the demon domain who had heard of the legend regarding revered Warylus. That revered Warylus' ability was comparable to the former god emperor. He was also the most powerful person in the world. 10,000 years ago, the former god emperor used his own life to seal revered Waryless. And that revered Waryless seal had already been removed. But he was seriously injured by the newly appointed god Phoenix Feng Qing Luo. Someone who could injure revered Waryless so seriously. Don't you think she's powerful? Don't you think she's powerful? No matter how much they loved to kill, it didn't mean that they had no brains to find trouble with the newly appointed god Phoenix Feng Qing Luo. Hence, he could only endure the large group of people in the outside world in fear and trepidation, staying in the demon domain. After a day of recuperation, Yiqing Luo's body had completely recovered. Full of vitality. She had just walked out of the palace when she saw the Lord of the Demon Hall, Demon Enchantress, walking towards her aggressively. The demonic enchantress was dressed in a long crow feather robe. As she fluttered behind her, it was as if she had spread out her black wings, causing her cold and elegant face to reveal a sinister aura. When the demonic charm's vision fell onto Yiqing Luo, it was as if all of his emotions had exploded in that instant. Lord Divine Phoenix. The demonic enchantress's voice was icy cold as she called out Yiqing Luo's honorific. Yiqing Luo raised her eyes and met the devilish gaze. That gorgeous face did not show much emotion, as if it did not care about the rage of the demonic enchantress. The more she acted like this, the angrier the demonic enchantress became. What exactly do you outsiders want? Did they all treat the infernal domain as a sightseeing place? You people from the divine world have come here, and even people from other worlds have come here. Do you think that the Devil Zone is outside of the Heavenly Tao's control, and you don't need to follow the rules of other worlds? Facing the wrath of the demonic enchantress, Yiqing Luo was still as calm as ever. She said, "You don't have to worry, the God realm has no intention of invading the demon realm. We, the Devil Zone, have been outside the Heavenly Tao for the past 10,000 years, and we don't want to have any involvement with you outsiders. Your existence today has already seriously disturbed the normal life of the Devil Zone." The demonic enchantress's expression sunk as she spat out every single word. "Lord Divine Phoenix, this Lord hopes that you can be clear that the cause of this matter is because of the previous God Emperor's sovereign. You, the previous God Emperor's sovereign's descendant and the previous God Emperor's sovereign, have really treated the Devil Zone as a toy in your hands? Seventh Miss who likes trash, Lord Overlord, please be gentler with your loving hands. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Lord Overlord, please be gentler with your loving hands." Chapter 5294. If it wasn't for Feng Gu who sealed Huang Guiyou here. If it wasn't for Feng Gu who sealed himself here. If it wasn't for the fact that when Feng Gu sealed himself, he also sealed the Devil Domain's previous king, Mo Long. The Devil Domain wouldn't be spied on by the various domains. The moment there were more people, the Devil Domain would be in chaos. Not to mention the various powerhouses from various domains, all gathered here. It was even messier than before. And the main culprit who caused all of this was Feng Qing Luo. Yiqing Luo's expression had a slight change. She raised her eyes slightly and with a demonic charm, she asked calmly, "What do you want?" Now, the Devil Domain was a foregone conclusion. The idea of chasing the various powerhouses out of the Devil Domain wasn't realistic at all. After all, the former sovereign of God's tomb was still here. Huang Guiyou was still in the Devil Domain. The various powerhouses had gone through many hardships to come to the Devil Domain. Wasn't it for the sake of the treasures in the tomb? Wasn't it for the sake of to see if they could get something beneficial to their own powerhouses from the world-famous revered Carefree? It was absolutely impossible for the various powerhouses to leave the Devil Domain. So, the demonic enchantress ran over here and angrily rebuked them. But she had another motive. The demonic enchantress didn't beat around the bush as she asked directly, previously, "Do you still keep your promise to this lord?" Naturally. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes narrowed as she hinted at something. "As long as you didn't collaborate with Huang Guiyou, you will definitely be able to sit firmly on the Devil Hall Master's position." She paused slightly as her pink lips curled into a faint smile. That smile, obviously, looked sweet. However, it inexplicably gave people a feeling of dread and panic. But Yiqing Luo's topic of conversation changed as her terrifying laughter rang faintly. If you were to go back on our previous agreement, then this Devil Hall master position, I can change someone else to sit on it. The young lady's voice was calm and cold, yet confident and ostentatious. That exquisite brows were filled with absolute confidence. As though what she said was merely the calmness of discussing the changes in the weather. The demonic enchantress's expression changed slightly. Anger surged in his heart. Yiqing Luo seemed as though she couldn't see the devil enchantress's murderous glare as she continued smiling as her pink lips curled upwards, continuing, I believe that if I push Madame Huang Xi to take the position, I believe Devil Domain's people will accept it very well. The indifference in the girl's tone was very obvious. The demonic enchantress expression darkened, as if it was about to rain at any moment. But the demonic enchantress was unable to refute Yiqing Luo's words. Because, based on Yiqing Luo's current ability and status, she pondered, it could really change the master of the infernal domain. This was what the demonic enchantress was most worried about. Otherwise, she wouldn't have specially come to look for Yiqing Luo at this timing. Demonic enchantress suppressed her anger, her cold and elegant face was covered with frost. I am not a person who goes back on her words. The Palace of Darkness once deceived me with a fake venerable emperor. I have no trust in the Palace of Darkness, so how can I cooperate with the Palace of Darkness again? However, her righteous words did not cause the expression of the young girl opposite her to change in the slightest. Yiqing Luo remained calm as she smiled at the demonic enchantress. Her pink lips were still curled as she smiled indifferently. I'm not talking about the Palace of Darkness, but Huang Wuyo. The demonic enchantress's expression instantly turned pale. Her body retreated 2 steps backwards as she looked at Yiqing Luo's gaze, which was filled with astonishment. Her heart was pounding wildly. The demonic enchantress suppressed this feeling as she tried her best to make her expression appear normal. That's natural. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5295. After the demonic enchantress finished her sentence, she was unable to look straight into Yiqing Luo's eyes. She took a deep breath and looked away. She naturally heard the warning in Yiqing Luo's words. She was indeed the new divine phoenix. She looked like she was recuperating in the demonic hall and loving the people of the Feng family. It was as if she had long forgotten about the previous battles. However, he didn't miss a single thing that he should know. She had underestimated Yiqing Luo. Initially, he thought that he would be able to deceive everyone by being discreet. Only now did he know, Yiqing Luo had no reaction, nor did she find trouble with her. It was just that everything was in the palm of his hand, so he didn't care much about it. The hands under the enchantress's long robe were tightly clenched. He was like a prisoner on death row waiting to be sentenced. The atmosphere instantly froze. The silence was depressing. When the demonic enchantress was almost out of breath, only then did the girl's clear laughter come from the other side. The young girl's crimson-red lips curled into an arc, looking pure and harmless. Her gorgeous face was covered in a slight smile that was like a blooming flower, and it was peerlessly beautiful. I naturally believe in Lord Devil Hall's words. She took a step forward and smiled brightly, so I hope that Lord Devil Lord will put in some effort to find Huang Wuyo's whereabouts. The demonic enchantress took a deep breath, her voice somewhat tense. This demonic enchantress will naturally speed up the search. Yes. The young girl nodded slowly. After the matter with Huang Wuyo is over, I will naturally lead the people of the God Realm to retreat from the Devil Domain. At that time, you will still be the high and mighty Lord of the Devil Palace in the Devil Domain, and the God Realm will not step into the Devil Domain again. Yiqing Luo smiled lightly. After that, he walked past the demonic enchantress and left the palace, heading toward Feng Shi's palace. Until Yiqing Luo left. The demon palaces were all stunned. By the time she regained her senses, she realized that the back of her clothes was already wet and stuck to her body. She had actually been intimidated by a young girl. The demonic enchantress took a few deep breaths, suppressing the fear in her heart. Everything she had done, Yiqing Luo was actually very clear about it. He didn't point it out, but he was giving her a chance. As for her, how should he choose? This choice would affect her future. Yiqing Luo had just walked out of the palace when she saw Yan Xiaoyi and the others standing at the entrance. The brothers of the world group had long heard about what happened in the Devil region, and those with sufficient strength all hurried over. Chapter 5296. The current Devil region isn't as peaceful as what we see on the surface. Once there's a change of master, I'm afraid there would be another huge wave. Our main motive for staying in the Devil region is to let Huang Guiyou rest in eternal sleep, to atone for what we had planned 10,000 years ago, for Mother. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes lifted slightly as she shot towards the front without any focus. I don't want to add to the chaos and let you all fall into danger because of me. She sighed softly as she held Yan Xiaoyi's hand and increased her strength slightly. Yan Xiaoyi could clearly feel the heat on the young lady's palm. Their hands were intertwined, conveying a sense of solemnity and cherishing. The anger on Yan Xiaoyi's face towards the devil slowly dissipated as her brows started to soften. She held Yiqing Luo's hand as she slowed down her tone and gave a light laugh. You have always been very strong and had always been walking in front of us. We've been protected very, very well by you. Her tone was serious and dignified, so don't feel guilty or blame yourself. Everything that we've experienced is the motivation to push us to grow. If it wasn't for your protection, we wouldn't be able to be so unrestrained, using our own method to grow. And the reason why we're able to appear in the Devil region, to be able to turn from the trash that everyone ridiculed, to become our current strong selves. All of this is all because of you. Yan Xiaoyi suddenly stretched out her hand as she circled the young lady's neck and hugged her tightly. Yiqing Luo, really? Thank you for appearing. Yiqing Luo went into a slight daze as she listened to the gentle whisper by her ear. Her brows slowly turned gentle as her long and narrow eyes seemed to be dotted with dazzling stars. Her heart softened. The two of them headed towards Feng Shi's direction to take a look at Feng Shi's condition and then went to check on Ling Long. Feng Shi's condition was still alright. Only Ling Long, perhaps it was because of her father who wasn't considered benevolent in her memory, but who was always obedient to her, suddenly turned so malevolent and even attempted to take her life. This had caused a huge trauma in the hearts of this little girl. Even when she woke up, Ling Long was still stuck in the shadow, unable to walk out. She could only use medication to calm her down and sleep again. Ghost Doctor and the rest had also rushed over along with the World Group brothers. After taking a look at Ling Long, the Ghost Doctor shook his head. A heart's ailment could only be treated with medicine from the heart. He was also powerless. Ling Long could not walk out of her nightmare. I will never be able to calm down. In this regard, Yiqing Luo thought of many ways. In the end, it was Bai Su who brought the pale Feng Shi to see Ling Long, and Ling Long's condition improved a little. But only a little. Yiqing Luo walked out of Ling Long's room and the few people beside her revealed a melancholic expression as they heaved a long sigh. I plan to bring CC Ling Long back to the divine realm first. Bai Su leaned against the door and said to Yiqing Luo, but her eyes were fixed on the inside of the house. Feng Shi was sitting by Ling Long's bed, gently coaxing her to sleep. As for Ling Long, Bai Su was still a little unhappy. After all, Feng Shi had been injured because of Ling Long. That was why she had exposed the mark of the Divine Emperor's successor and attracted Huang Guiyou's attention. Yes, and, most importantly, Ling Long was Huang Guiyou's daughter. Although Yiqing Luo was also Huang Guiyou's daughter. But after all, the environment they grew up in and the things they carried were different. But Feng Shi valued Ling Long. She valued him so much that in order to protect Ling Long, he exploded with an unbearable energy load. How could Baisu bear to do that, and how could she bear to stop Feng Shi and Linglong from interacting? 7th Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5297. Therefore, Baisu decided, then, he left the demonic domain with Ling Long. Yi Qing Luo had her own considerations on this point that Baisu had raised. Linglong's current situation. Staying in the demon domain was indeed more dangerous. This was especially true for Huang Wuyo, who was hiding somewhere. Now that he knew that Feng Shi was the next successor of the Divine Emperor, he would probably attack Feng Shi secretly. It would probably be safer to take Feng Shi away from the demon territory while Huang Wuyo was still severely injured. She pursed her lips. Do you have a place to go? Baisu nodded. Since I can stay outside of the myriad world and not be restrained, I naturally have a place that belongs to me. Since I decided to take Cece away, I must have made full preparations. Yi Qing Luo remained silent for a moment before she opened her mouth to ask, then, what about my maternal grandfather and uncle? Baisu frowned slightly. She was a little reluctant, but she still continued to say, I promised Cece that I wouldn't let him leave his grandfather, so I will keep my promise. In other words, Old Master Feng and Feng Liqiong would also leave with them. Yi Qing Luo agreed to Baisu's idea without hesitation. Now that Old Master Feng and Feng Liqiong had left the demonic realm, she felt more at ease. He stayed in the infernal domain for a day. The more dangerous it was, the higher the danger. Yi Qing Luo turned towards Yan Xiaoyi and the rest, you all. Before she could finish speaking, Yan Xiaoyi seemed to already know what she wanted to say and took the initiative to interrupt her. We've worked so hard to grow and it wasn't easy to catch up to your footsteps. Don't think of leaving us behind. The few people behind her gazed firmly at Yi Qing Luo, as they gave a heavy N sound. They knew that Yi Qing Luo was trying to persuade them to follow Baisu to leave the devil region. However, if they were to leave the infernal domain because of danger, otherwise, he wouldn't have to go through so much trouble to rush over to the demon domain. Looking at their resolute faces, with an expression of, if you chase me away, we will die in front of you, Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but laughed. Who said I want you to leave? I'm asking you to help cover their escape. Don't let anyone discover them, including that Lord of the Devil Palace. Baisu left quietly. In the current situation of the demon domain, all the major forces were crowded together. With so many people missing, it did not attract too much attention. Whereas the demonic enchantress who had been beaten by Yi Qing Luo quickly sent news over, she had already found out where Huang Wuyo was hiding. Devil Succubus told Yi Qing Luo the address and his vision fell onto the young lady's side. That godlike man suppressed the unwillingness in his heart as he spoke in a deep and cold voice. I hope you will remember what you promised this prince. To Dmo Xian. If the demonic enchantress said that she didn't have any thoughts, then it was definitely impossible. After all, Dmo Xian's status was high and mighty. The reason why she had agreed to the Palace of Darkness request to marry the Overlord, other than the deal with the Palace of Darkness, there was also the fact that Dmo Xian was coveting her. But unexpectedly, the person she coveted was a fake. And the real Dmo Xian. However, he was not even interested in looking at her. However, at this moment, no matter how much unwillingness and resentment he felt in his heart, the demonic enchantress did not reveal anything. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips curled up slightly as she smiled sweetly, contrasting that bright and beautiful face, making it even more captivating. Her long and narrow eyes narrowed slightly, meeting with the demonic enchantress's gaze. The demonic enchantress felt that the secret in her heart seemed to have been seen through. This feeling was the same as the few times when she discussed the deal with Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo had seen through everything. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.